In this series of videos, we're going to be looking at how to distinguish an unknown substance. This will require you to apply your understanding from what we've been learning in class. In the first video, we'll be looking at how to use the colour of a substance to distinguish it. The general order for distinguishing a substance is first of all to look at colour, then look at the solubility of the substance, and then precipitation. Now this is where we'll stop for Physical Science Unit 1. Now by the end of Physical Science Unit 2, you'll also be able to use acid-base reactions to distinguish unknown compounds. And eventually, if you continue with your chemistry, you'll be able to use redox reactions. Now let's look at an example. I have two different compounds here. One is blue and one is pink, and we've been told that one is copper sulfate and one is cobalt sulfate. So we now have to look at how we can tell them apart. Now you need to write a set of instructions so that a year 10 from another school could pick this up and follow the sets of instructions and work out what is what. So what I suggest is, number one, we look at the colour of the compounds. Now I can see that one is blue and one is pink. So I now have to go to my data sheet to look at which one could possibly be which. Now that I've got my data sheet out, I'm looking up copper sulfate and cobalt sulfate. Now first of all, I always check the exception rules, and I can see here that there is no exception for copper sulfate or cobalt sulfate. So now I go to the colours of the ions. I can see that cobalt ions are pink and that copper ions are blue. So from this, I can pretty much guess which compound is which. So I've looked at the colour of the compounds, I've checked my solubility table, and I can see that copper sulfate is blue and cobalt sulfate is pink. So this one must be cobalt sulfate and this one must be copper sulfate. Now that's pretty straightforward, so what I'd like you to do is go to your OneNote and try some of the examples. Try example 1, 2 and 3 just to get yourself started.